Howdy folks, today we're looking at Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater #1 from 2024 in IDW Publishing. Raise a glass for The Great Gatsby by the great F. Scott Fitzgerald, 100 years young as of this very April. With the book having entered the public domain just 4 years ago, we've seen a handful of adaptations and interpolations, but nothing else quite so strange and compelling as the comic before us today. The hook is blessedly simple. A giant radioactive lizard appears off the coast of Long Island and breaks up one of Jay Gatsby's infamous ragers, in the process causing Daisy Buchanan to be temporarily lost at sea. In anger, Gatsby then dedicates himself to battling the great beast, and so gathers other like-minded adventurers to his cause. That list comes to include the likes of an elderly Sherlock Holmes, the unnamed protagonist of H.G. Wells' The Time Machine, and even a certain mysterious Eastern European count taking up residence in England. Real-life noteworthies such as Thomas Edison and Jules Verne also show up in the margins, rounding out the cast of characters drawn into Gatsby's orbit as his revenge against the great lizard takes shape. As to who is responsible for this rather unique project, the answer is none other than indie stalwart Tom Scioli. After a few surprising years spent working in the trenches of real life, producing a pair of popular biographies devoted to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, Scioli returns here to a story of his own devising. If you're a fan of the unhinged imagination seen in projects such as his G.I. Joe vs. Transformers or GoBot's licensed books, you'll find much to enjoy here. Scioli's approach to these kinds of stories appears to begin with breaking storytelling down into its simplest possible components. Action figures splayed across the landscape and thrown against one another in a series of gradually more bizarre set pieces. Scioli's artwork has similarly traced an interesting progress over the last decade or so, as he's gradually pared down much in the way of extraneous detail in favor of simplified designs, leaning heavily on outrageous color. It's possible that what sticks out most about this extraordinarily striking book is just that, the color. He's not afraid to use large fields of turquoise or magenta to assault the reader's eye. In the grand tradition of the franchise, the big man himself spends most of the first part of the story in the shadows, a presence seen in parts, an eye, a tail, a footprint. When he finally steps onto a splash page, rampaging across the 1920s New York, the effect is nothing short of a revelation, a new way of seeing something we've all seen hundreds of times before, a brutal Godzilla set loose in the fields of history. When he attacks London, we get a double-page spread of biplanes, throwing themselves against Godzilla in fruitless assault, hot reds and blues juxtaposed against a giant mass of green scales and bright white teeth.